Are you struggling with tall cakes? Maybe just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, wondering whether or not your cake might collapse or your layers might crack or sink. You don't need to feel intimidated by making tall cakes. We're here to dive into the world of internal structure today so we can show you what works, what to avoid, and how crucial it is for your cakes. Okay, when I started making cakes like over 30 years ago, I remember feeling very intimidated by tall cakes. I did leave it a while, and then now I've been in business since 2016. And when I started seeing all these beautiful tall cakes everywhere, I was just like, I need to learn how to make those. So I did. I learned how to make them, and now I get the chance to go through and take the struggle away from all of you. So whether or not you've made a tall cake before, a tall cake either being a tall single tier or a 2-tier cake, 3 and 4-tier cakes, they all require some internal structure. Just like if you're building a house, you still have foundations for a single story house, but when you move into 2 and 3-story houses, you definitely need to have the right structure and foundations so it stays nice and stable. Same deal with your cakes. Okay, so we shall run through 5 different things you can use for internal dowels to stabilize your cakes. In case you haven't met before, I'm Yvette from Enchanted Cakes by Yvette, and welcome to our Cake and Coffee Chat episodes. We're going to focus on tall cakes and the structure, and today we're starting off, like we said, with the internal dowels. Okay. So firstly, what are internal supports? Okay, basically they are going to be what's going to separate and hold into position your different cake tiers. Okay, so whether or not you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 cake tiers, inside each of the lower tiers, you need some structural support. Okay, so the first option that we began with, like for many, many years, is our timber dowels. Okay, these ones, they're all food safe. We do buy these from Caker's Warehouse. And if you use our code Enchanted10 at checkout for your online orders, you can save 10% as well. Okay, but they're very nice and sturdy. They're nice and smooth. They're about 25 centimeters long and they're solid. They're about 6 millimeters wide. Okay, so how we cut these is with our secateurs or pruning shears. We obviously don't use these in the garden, and they're specifically for our dowels here. Okay, the only problem with these you might find is that being 25 centimeters, if you cut a dowel the height of your cake, you generally won't get to be able to use the 2 ends. Okay, so you get a leftover bit here, which is still great for all your smaller figurines, or even a smaller if you've got like a 1.5 or 2 inch cake tier that you're going to need to support as well. Okay, so that's the first option we have there. Our second option, which is fairly newer to the market, it's only been out for like the last 12 months or so, are these plastic hollow support dowels here. These are the ones from Loyal. These are our preferred brand that we've been using, and they are cut nice and easily just using their cutters. Okay, just go straight through nice and cleanly. These are a bit longer. You see, they're just that little bit longer, another 5 centimeters longer. Okay, and that does make a difference, okay, because if your cake tiers are a 5-inch tier, you will get 2 lots from the one dowel. Okay, and again, they are hollow, these ones. Okay, they are very structurally stable. They're hollow, and so they can go through your cake nice and even as well. Okay, just make sure you don't cover the top. You need to let somewhere for the air to escape when you're inserting them into your cake. Okay, next we have our thick straws and that. Now I know a lot of people use them. I am not a fan of these. I don't think they're as structurally stable as what our timber dowels or our plastic dowels are. So I actually don't recommend these to be supporting your tiers. Okay, because whenever you have one tier on top of another, you will need some kind of support in there. I prefer to use these for my fondant toppers. So if I make a little teddy bear or bunny rabbit, something like those, one of the figurines, I'll insert this into the cake and then my topper can sit on top of it. Okay, these are easily cut just with scissors. Okay, and because they are nice and wide, the diameter, well, must be close to 10 millimeters there, it does give you a nice wide base to go underneath those little toppers. Okay. And again, with other straws, drinking straws, thinner straws, they do not have the strength. Okay, look, those ones even bend here. Okay, please do not use these as structural supports for your cake. Moving on, skewers. I have seen many a cake supported with skewers in various Facebook groups. I would urge you, please do not use these. And lastly, chopsticks, do not use these either, okay? They're not strong enough to support the weight of a full cake tier on top. Okay, I'd hate for you to have a disaster where your cake collapses because you haven't used the right internal support. Okay, so our chopsticks as well, they're narrower at one end and wider at the other. Okay, they're a tapered shape. Okay, which means again, especially if you pop them in upside down with the skinny end at the bottom and that, you're just prone to set yourself up for your cake collapsing, more so than if you use the structurally stable dowels. Okay, so dowels are just one part of the equation. We have put together a cheat sheet for our tall cake stabilities. So it's our tall cake stability cheat sheet, and we will pop the link below for you so you can just download that for free if you'd like more tips and that on how to keep your cake nice and structurally stable. And if you are ready to take it to the next level, just click on our waitlist link below. We're very soon to be opening up our Tall Cakes Made Simple course, which I'm just very, very excited for. So at the moment, we're in April 2025, so the waitlist is open. If you are watching this during May 2025 and beyond, lucky you, because the course will be able to be accessed. Okay, so getting back to these dowels, the other thing to consider is always make sure, first of all, you cut your tops perfectly level. Okay, don't cut them on the angle. Okay, you want them to be cut perfectly level. And then when you insert them, you want them to go straight down. Please do not insert them at an angle. Okay, both of those things, whether you have uneven tops on an angle or you insert on the angle, can mean the difference between your cake staying structurally stable or it actually collapsing. Okay, especially if you imagine that you put uneven cake dowels in, or you put them in on an angle, and that's the base tier of a 3 or 4 tier cake. That's a lot of weight, a lot of pressure that's being placed on this. Okay, and the other tip is always make sure that whatever you're cutting, your dowels, they're all exactly the same length. Okay, you don't want them slightly taller than one or the other, you want them the same. Okay, so take your time and be very precise with inserting and cutting and prepping your dowels. Okay, so we always recommend a minimum of 4 as well, even for our little 4-inch top tier here. You want 4 evenly spaced dowels. Okay, so that'll keep it as structurally stable as possible in terms of the doweling system. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I shall just have a quick sip here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And we're going to go through different cake boards to use, when to use them, when to avoid using certain types of cake boards, because there is a big difference between the quality and the strength of different cake boards. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. And also remember, we do have that link below, either to join the waitlist for our Tall Cakes Made Simple course or to download our cheat sheet for our Tall Cake Stability. Okay, I'm Yvette Faruja. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next episode. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and of course, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Also, don't forget to follow me on my socials so you never miss out on new content and amazing cake designs. See you next time.